Hey everyone, Jeremy Weiss here with the Helpers Group right here in Central Maryland. If you're thinking about selling your home in 2026, or you're just curious what it might actually cost to sell your home in this market, this video is for you. Today, I'm going to break down the real costs of selling a home right here in Central Maryland, so you know what to expect and what might be eating into your final profits. Let's dive in. First up, the real estate agent commissions. So to begin, there is no such thing as a standard commission rate. That's a common misnomer that is out there. Commissions have been, still are, and will continue to be negotiable. Our team charges 3.5% to help you get your home sold, but this is all negotiable as well. And whether you decide to offer compensation to a buyer's agent, as well as how you offer that compensation to a buyer's agent, is all negotiable. For the sake of this video, we are going to assume that you've agreed to pay 3% to the listing agent and 3% to the buyer's agent. So a total of 6%. Now, we'll go through in more detail in another video later on. So if you're interested in understanding more about how the compensation piece works, stay tuned for that video coming up in the next couple of months, where we'll really dive into kind of the nitty-gritty of how all of that works. But like I said, for the sake of this video, we're going to assume that you have agreed to pay 3% to the listing broker and 3% to the buyer's broker. So this is what we refer to as an ALTA, or a closing statement, put together by my friends down at Charter Title. And on this ALTA, it's going to show you exactly what you are paying for and what you're credited in a transaction. So at the top, you'll see we have the property address as well as the name and address of the seller. And then below that, you're going to see we have a description of the different charges, and we also have two columns, one that says debit and one that says credit. Anything which is in the debit column is something that the seller is charged for. Anything that's in the credit column is something that the seller is credited. So you'll see a credit for the sale price of the property, and you see a credit for your property taxes because the buyer credits that back to the seller. We also see the compensation listed right below that. So again, for the sake of this video, we're going to assume your home sells for $400,000, which is, an average price point around here. At that price point, you're looking at paying approximately $24,000 in commission from the sale of your home. Again, it is negotiable, but commissions are often the biggest expense that you're going to pay when you go through the process of selling your home. Again, like I said, breaking down the intricacies of compensation is not for this video, so make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you're in the know when that video comes out in a couple of weeks. Next, let's talk about closing costs and taxes. Sellers in Maryland usually pay for state and local transfer taxes, recording fees, and other title-related expenses. On a $400,000 home here in Anne Arundel County, that's roughly $4,400. Please remember, this number is going to change based on the county in which the property is located, because each county and jurisdiction sets their own transfer tax rate. Obviously, the state transfer tax rate is not going to change. So looking back at that sample ALTA from our friends at Charter Title, we can see here there's two sections. The first one are title charges, and those are literally the fees that the title company charges you in order to do the work that they need to do. Obviously, there's no title insurance here because that's on the buying side, and you have your settlement fees, the document preparation fees, and then the release procurement fees, which are to figure and get the release for the mortgage company. Then down below that, we have all of the transfer taxes. So the county tax, the state transfer tax, as well as the deed recordation in order to get the deed on file with the local jurisdiction. Then we have all of your pre-sale costs. Things like repairs, deep cleaning, staging, landscaping, small updates to the home, anything like that that you're going to do prior to actually selling the home. Again, this varies depending on the condition of your home, but many sellers spend anywhere between 1.5% to 3% of the sale price of the home in order to get the home market ready. For that same $400,000 home, we're talking somewhere between $6,000 to $12,000. And finally, we have your personal moving costs. Hiring movers, paying off the mortgage, maybe some utility bills that have to be paid, or HOA transfer fees, things like that. There are also water escrows that may be held if the home is on public water and public sewer, and other types of contributions that a buyer or seller may have to make in order to transfer the sale of the property. These things are often overlooked, but can still add up to $1,000 to $3,000 depending on your situation. So guys, let's look at the totals now. So if we're selling the home for $400,000, agent commissions are approximately $24,000, approximately $5,000 in closing costs, an average of about $8,000 for prepping and staging the home, and approximately $2,000 for other miscellaneous expenses. That total is around $39,000 in selling costs, or nearly 10% of the home sale price. Of course, your exact numbers will vary based on a lot of the factors that we talked about before, and that's why it's so important that you plan ahead and work with a great local team. So looking at that sample Alta one more time, we can see on the bottom we have the subtotals, all the debits, which are anything that's charged to the seller, the credits, so everything that's credited to the seller, and when we do the math, we come up with the amount that's due to the seller is approximately $372,000. Now, I know we mentioned some of the pre-listing repairs and things like that. Those are normally not reflected on this Alta unless you do them through a company that allows you to pay at closing. We do have those connections, so if needed, we can make that connection. So here's a few quick tips to help you keep your closing costs in check. Number one, focus on high ROI improvements, high return on investment improvements, things like painting, lighting, and curb appeal. We have people who specialize in all of those things who can help you get the best return on investment for the least amount of money that we possibly can. Tip number two, make sure we price your home smartly. Okay, make sure we price it in the market, not out of the market, and don't over renovate the home. It is possible to over renovate a home and then the home is over improved and makes it really difficult to sell. Next, be ready to negotiate with buyers on certain costs, right? It's really important that as you get into the transaction, you know what's important to you, the seller, and our job is to find out what's important to the buyer and to figure out how we can make both of these work together. But make sure we're ready to negotiate, right? Especially as we're headed back into the balanced market that we're in right now, negotiations have become critical. So really, make sure that you expect the negotiations and understand where you're flexible and really where we're not so flexible. And then lastly, make sure your agent has done their homework and that they provide you with an estimated net sheet when they sit down with you so that you're clear on what it will cost to sell your home and what you can reasonably expect to make at the end of the day once the home is sold. Obviously, selling a home is a major decision, and understanding your true costs of selling that home helps you make smarter and more confident choices. If you'd like a personalized estimate of your selling costs, just reach out. Our contact information is in the description right below. We're happy to help, and we're happy to give you great information with great clarity so that you understand the full picture. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Central Maryland real estate tips and local insights from the Helpers Group. I'm Jeremy, and as always, how can we help?